It was the way she laughed. That's what I keep going back to, the sound of her laughter echoing down the hallway, slicing through the silence like a cold wind through a cracked window. It wasn't just laughter. It was loud, careless, almost cruel. And it wasn't for me. My name is Harlan. I'm not flashy. I don't own designer cologne or drive a car that growls when you start it. I fix clocks, the old kind, with gears and hands and quiet, patient ticking. Maybe that says a lot about me. I'm slow to anger. I take my time with things. And I always believe that when something's broken, you try to fix it, not throw it away. For 16 years, I was married to a woman who once said I made her feel safe. Her name was Inez. Soft-spoken in public, bold at home, smart in all the ways that made conversations feel like adventures. We weren't loud. We weren't glamorous. But we were solid. Or so I thought. It started on a Saturday. I remember because I just finished repairing a client's antique mantel clock. The thing was older than both of us, and I was proud of how it turned out. Inez came home around noon, hair a bit windblown, cheeks red from the cold, laughing into her phone as she walked through the door. I stood up, ready to greet her, the way I always did. She didn't even notice me. She kept laughing. I heard a man's voice on speaker, muffled, but clear enough to make out. "You sure he still thinks you're not coming over here just for dessert?" Then her voice, between giggles. "Harlan? Please, that man still believes I'm his little house cat." She said it so easily. Like it was a line from a sitcom. Like it wasn't about me. I didn't say anything. Not then. I just quietly stepped back into my workshop, sat beside that old clock, and stared at the gears I'd spent hours aligning. They still ticked unsteady, loyal, mechanical. Unlike her. That night, she acted normal. Kissed my cheek. Told me the stew needed more salt. I watched her move around the kitchen like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just called me a fool to someone else. And maybe I was. Maybe I had missed something. That was the night everything started unraveling. But not in an explosive way. No yelling. No tears. No dramatic confessions. It was quieter than that. More dangerous. Like a boat taking on water, slowly, invisibly, until suddenly you're sinking. She said it was just a joke. That I was being sensitive. That people say stupid things when they're comfortable. But she wasn't comfortable with me when she said it. I started noticing things. Messages that made her smile and put her phone face down. Work dinners that didn't smell like wine or pasta, but like cologne I didn't wear. A red mark on her shoulder shaped like someone else's lips. And through it all, every time I confronted her, every time I showed her what I saw, she just laughed. That same laugh. The one I used to love. The one that now made my skin crawl. She called it teasing. Flirting. Nothing serious. But the moment I saw the video, the one her coworker accidentally posted on his story before deleting it 30 seconds later, I knew it was never just a joke. I watched my wife sit on another man's lap, wearing my old flannel, drinking from a mug that said "best wife ever," while he whispered something in her ear that made her laugh and bite her lip. And suddenly, I wasn't Harlan the husband anymore. I was the punchline. And no one was laughing with me. I think the first time you realize something is wrong in your marriage, it isn't loud. It doesn't come with slamming doors or screaming voices. It comes with something small. Something quiet. Something that doesn't fit. Like a mug in the wrong cabinet. Like your wife brushing her teeth at the downstairs sink when she's always used the one upstairs. Or like her wearing perfume to take the trash out. That was Inez. Always tidy, always consistent. So when things started not fitting, it was hard to ignore. I told myself I was being dramatic. That my imagination was getting away from me. After all, we've been together a long time. People change, habits shift, right? But then there were the eggs. It sounds stupid now, but Inez hated runny eggs. Always did. She used to complain about diners undercooking them. Said the yolk looked too alive. Then one morning, I found her frying sunny side up, humming. I asked her if she was trying something new. She froze. Not even for a full second, but enough. Then smiled. "Trying to eat what you like," she said. Thought it'd be nice. But I hadn't eaten eggs like that in years. The next day, I went out to the backyard to trim the hedges. We have this old bench out there under the cedar tree. Inez never liked it, said it reminded her of funerals. But that morning, I found a red scarf draped over it. I picked it up. It smelled like leather and something sharp. Not her perfume. Not mine either. That's when it hit me. I didn't feel like a husband anymore. I felt like a guest in my own life. One who had overstayed his welcome. I didn't accuse her. Not yet. Not directly. I asked quiet questions. Watch her closely. She told me she had game nights with people from work. I asked if I could join sometime. She laughed like I had told the funniest joke in the world. Said I wouldn't survive, how dark the humor gets. Said I was too soft. It didn't feel like a joke. It felt like I was being gently pushed outside of something I used to belong to. And then, that evening, the joke came. We were at a dinner party hosted by one of her colleagues. I never liked these things, but I went anyway. Inez insisted. She wore a dress I hadn't seen before. It was low in the back, tied by a small silver clasp. When I told her she looked stunning, she just smirked and said, "Not bad for leftovers, huh?" I thought she was joking. Then came dessert. And with it, came him. Tall, dark beard, thick hands, a face I'd only seen in photos on her phone once or twice, her team leader. Name was Beckett. Who names their kid Beckett? They joked like old lovers. He called her Red. She touched his wrist when she laughed. Then he looked at me and said, "You're a brave man, letting her out in public like this." I tried to laugh. I tried. But Inez leaned toward him and said, "He thinks it's still cute when I come home on time." The table burst into laughter. Except me. I looked around. People clinked glasses. One guy nearly fell off his chair. Inez wiped a tear from her eye, like it was the funniest thing she'd ever said. It wasn't the joke that hurt. It was the way she didn't even glance my way to check if I was okay. As if I wasn't even there. As if the punchline didn't live across the table from her, blinking slowly, clutching his wine glass like it was the only thing keeping him upright. That night, back home, she curled up on the couch with her phone, still laughing about something. I sat in the hallway, staring at my shoes, listening to the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the foyer. She didn't notice I hadn't spoken in over an hour. She didn't care that I hadn't eaten a bite. And me? I just kept thinking, when did I become someone you could joke about without feeling anything? When did she stop protecting me with her words? Or maybe the better question was, when did I stop matching? I didn't wake up crying. That's what made it worse. I woke up numb. No racing heartbeat. No dry mouth. Just that flat gray feeling behind the ribs, like I'd been underwater all night and forgot how to breathe properly. She wasn't in bed. Again. 3 mornings in a row now. Always something. First it was couldn't sleep, then had an early meeting, then last night she said nothing at all. Just silence. A silence that grew in the space between the 2 pillows. I sat up, expecting to hear her in the kitchen. Nothing. No coffee brewing. No clinking dishes. Just the old furnace humming low, like it was trying not to disturb the growing awkwardness in our house. I wandered down the hall. Lights off. No signs of her coat or bag missing. But she was gone. Again. And somehow, I didn't panic. That's when I knew it had begun, the quiet shift. You know what I mean? That moment in a relationship where everything technically looks the same. The shoes are still by the door. The toothbrushes still share the cup, but none of it feels familiar anymore. You stop looking for proof. You start looking for patterns. Her text got shorter. 1-word answers. Yep. Fine. Later. Her eye contact turned into eye avoidance. She didn't ask me how my day was anymore. And when I tried to tell her anyway, she blinked slowly, like I was buffering. And then the mirror moment. I was brushing my teeth 2 nights ago. She walked in behind me. I caught her reflection in the mirror, and she didn't smile at me. Didn't even blink. She looked at me like I was a piece of furniture she forgot she owned. That broke something small inside. You don't cry over that kind of thing. Not right away. You just start breathing differently. Shallower. Quieter. Because if you get too loud, you might hear the real truth echoing back at you. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm out. I didn't check her phone. I watched. I watched her sit on the edge of the couch with her feet tucked under her, scrolling. I watched her lips twitch at messages she wouldn't let me see. I watched the way she started double-checking the door was locked, not because of safety, but because she didn't want me walking in on something again. I noticed the perfume she wore on days she worked late. It wasn't the same one I gave her for our 10th anniversary. It was sharper, bolder, like someone else's taste had chosen it. Inez had always worn soft scents. Vanilla, cotton, lilac. Things that reminded you of fresh sheets and handwritten letters. Now she smelled like she wanted to be remembered for damage. And I let it happen. I sat in that chair every night, sipping tea I couldn't taste, watching the woman I married drift into another universe, one where I didn't exist. One where her laughter belonged to someone else now. One where I was no longer a character, just an audience. Scene 1, kitchen, 7:14 p.m. The soup boils over. Harlan doesn't flinch. The stovetop hisses under the spill, like it's gasping for help. But Harlan? still staring at the fourth chair. They used to have guests. Now it's just 3 chairs. One for him, one for her, one they pretend not to see. Inez walks in. Boots first, then silence. Her phone buzzes. She checks it before she looks at him. Lips move. Sorry I'm late. Her coat is still on. He nods. Says nothing. Slides her bowl forward. Scene 2, dining room, 7:22 p.m. They eat in quiet. The ticking clock on the wall is louder than their chewing. She smiles at something on her phone. Not once does she ask him about his day. She used to. Always. Now she doesn't even fake it. She mutters, I've got calls later. He says, with Beckett. Her hand freezes over the spoon. Just for a second. Then she shrugs. No. Why would you say that? He says nothing. Because everything he wants to say would either get laughed off, or worse, ignored. Scene 3, bathroom mirror, 11:48 p.m. Steam clings to the mirror. His face looks older. Like someone else's reflection. He wipes the fog away. Behind him, the door creaks. Inez passes by in a towel. No eye contact. No pause. Just presence. And then absence. He looks at the toothbrushes. Hers is dry. Scene 4, living room, night. Harlan opens her laptop. He's never done that before. He hesitates. 1 second. 2. Clicks the photo app. Scrolls. There she is. Inez. Smiling. Laughing. But the room behind her isn't their house. It's Beckett's apartment. He recognizes the painting on the wall. A deer with gold antlers. He remembers. She once said it was so tacky. She's posing beside it now, sipping something amber. In another photo, they're not kissing. But they're close. Her hand is on his shoulder. Her head tilted. Her eyes say more than her lips ever did. Harlan closes the screen. He doesn't throw the laptop. He doesn't scream. He doesn't even sigh. Instead, he turns off the lamp beside him and sits in the dark. The only light now is red. From the alarm clock. Ticking. Inez. It's past 2 in the morning and the house is so quiet. It feels like it's holding its breath. I'm writing this not because I think you'll ever read it, but because if I don't get these thoughts out, I might forget who I was before all of this started. Before the silence between us turned from something temporary into something permanent. Before your laughter changed pitch. Before I started recognizing someone else's reflection in your eyes. I've been asking myself the same question every night. When did it begin? Not the affair, no, I think that's the wrong question. That's just a symptom. I'm asking about the shift. That slow, creeping erosion of something sacred. We used to talk in the car, remember that? Long drives with the windows cracked, hands resting on knees, music low. Even when we didn't agree, we respected the other's voice. Now we don't even share silence. Now the quiet is cold, sharp-edged, weaponized. I can't tell if you stopped caring, or if you started caring too much about someone else. That night at Caleb's party, you said something that hasn't left me. Beckett told a story, some nonsense about work, and you laughed in a way you haven't laughed around me in years. That unfiltered, throw your head back kind of laugh that used to be ours. And then, when you caught me watching you, you smiled. Not a warm smile. A guarded one. As if you'd been caught doing something intimate. You covered it by saying he was just like a brother. I wanted to believe you. God, I tried. I went home that night and convinced myself I was imagining things. I told myself I was insecure, paranoid, fragile. But Inez, I'm not imagining the perfume you never used to wear, the way your hand hovers over your phone when a message comes in, the sudden love for late-night strategy meetings. I'm not imagining the way your body tenses when I walk into a room unexpectedly. You don't look guilty. You look irritated. Like I've disrupted a rhythm that doesn't include me anymore. I'm writing this because tonight, something happened that I can't unsee. You left your tablet on the coffee table. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that. I hate that I even had to. But what I saw wasn't some explicit photo or indecent message. It was worse. It was a playlist. For Red, it said. A dozen songs we never listened to together. Tracks I didn't recognize, with titles like Warm Skin, Blue Hour, Come Over When It Rains. One of them was playing when you walked in yesterday. You didn't even flinch when I asked about it. Just said, oh, it's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. You're not the kind of person who builds playlists for nothing. Music means something to you. It always did. Remember when we danced to that old jazz song in the kitchen while spaghetti boiled over? You said music was how you marked chapters in your life. That night, it felt like I'd been written out of the book. I'm not angry. I haven't been. Not really. I'm tired. Exhausted in ways sleep can't fix. And not just because I suspect you're seeing someone else, but because you stopped seeing me. That's what's killing me. Not the affair. Not Beckett. Not the lies. It's the loss of your attention, your care, your instinct to reach for me. I still make your coffee every morning the way you like it. 3 sugars, a splash of almond milk, 1 ice cube. You always said it had to be cool enough to sip right away. You barely notice now. I put it down, and you barely nod. This morning, you left it untouched. I went into the garage afterward and sat on that old workbench we never threw out. I stared at your bike, the one I fixed up last spring, and realized I couldn't remember the last time we rode together. Or the last time we made a plan just for us. Everything's split now. You have your world. And I have the echo of one. I'm not writing this to guilt you. I'm writing it because I need to remember that I loved you fully. I loved you with a kind of hope that made ordinary moments feel holy. You changed. And maybe I did too. But I never stopped rooting for us. I just wish you hadn't started treating me like the side character in your new story. If you ever read this, which you won't, I want you to know that the joke you made about me that night, the one that made everyone at the table laugh, it didn't hurt because it was cruel. It hurt because it was easy for you. Easy to belittle. Easy to mock. Easy to forget the version of me who once held your hand like it was something rare. You called it humor. But something inside me shattered. And I realized, maybe I've been sitting in the ruins long after the fire died out. Harlan. 6:03 a.m. Alarm goes off. He opens his eyes, already tired. The other side of the bed is cold. Not empty, cold. She's lying there, but turned away, curled into the edge like she's guarding a secret. 6:07 a.m. He gets up first. Doesn't say anything. He used to whisper good morning and kiss her shoulder. That stopped 3 weeks ago. She never responded. 6:32 a.m. Coffee. He makes hers first. Almond milk, 3 sugars, 1 ice cube. It sits untouched. She walks past him, eyes on her phone. He doesn't ask where she's going today. 7:10 a.m. She leaves without saying goodbye. Car engine hums, door slams. He stands in the hallway, holding her travel mug. She forgot it again. Or didn't want it. 8:42 a.m. Work is remote. Calls, spreadsheets, fake laughs with clients. He smiles when he needs to. Mutes when he doesn't. In another tab, a search is open. How to know when a marriage is over. He doesn't click any links. 12:14 p.m. Lunch is silent. Leftover chicken. The TV plays in the background. No volume. He stares at the wall where their wedding photo used to hang. It's been missing for 2 weeks. No explanation. 3:33 p.m. She texts, might be late. Don't wait for me. He stares at the message. Reads it again. Doesn't reply. Doesn't delete it. Just turns off the screen. 5:02 p.m. He walks through the backyard. The wind chimes she bought last fall are tangled and silent. The bench they used to sit on has bird droppings across it. He doesn't clean it. Just stares. 6:25 p.m. He eats dinner alone. Chicken again. He pretends it tastes like something. No phone. No music. Just the clink of the fork on the plate and the low hum of a house that forgot how to be a home. 7:46 p.m. Still no sign of her. He checks the driveway 3 times. Lights off. Mail unopened. A small red envelope with her name on it sits on the counter. Handwritten. Not from him. 8:51 p.m. She walks in. Smells like someone else's cologne, faint, but sharp. He doesn't comment. She says, hey. That's it. He nods once. She walks past. No kiss. No explanation. 9:04 p.m. She showers. Locks the door. She never used to. He sits on the edge of the bed, holding the envelope. Debates opening it. Doesn't. 9:39 p.m. She comes out in silence. Lays down without a word. Puts in earbuds. Turns her back. 10:12 p.m. He's still awake. Eyes open. Staring at the ceiling. Wondering if she's listening to music or someone's voice. Wondering if that envelope is a goodbye or an invitation. 11:03 p.m. He gets up, walks to the kitchen. Stands in the dark with his hands on the counter. Breathing through his teeth. 11:47 p.m. He writes one line on the back of a grocery receipt. I don't think you love me anymore. And I'm starting to forget what it felt like when you did. He leaves it on the fridge. Not for her to find. Just so he knows it existed. You know, I'm not even mad. I swear. That's not what this is. I think I passed anger weeks ago, maybe months. Now it's more like this. Background noise. A hum in my chest that never shuts off. I wake up with it. Fall asleep with it. It's always there, like a low drone behind every thought. I kept trying to find the right moment, you know? The moment to bring it up. But it never came. Because there's never a good time to ask your wife if she's in love with someone else. There's never a right sentence that makes it okay to say, "Hey, are you already gone and just forgot to pack your things?" So instead, I waited. I waited for the signs to stop showing up. I waited for a version of you to come back that doesn't exist anymore. I saw you with him. Not in the physical sense, not some dramatic movie scene. But I saw you in the way you pulled away when I touched your arm last Tuesday. I saw it in how your phone always flips face down when I walk in the room. I saw it in the way you laugh now, that new laugh, the one that doesn't belong to me. You never laughed like that with me in the last year. Not once. You smiled politely. You chuckled to keep the peace. But you only laugh for him now. Even your happiness has left the building. And I kept telling myself, she wouldn't. Not Inez. She wouldn't go behind my back, wouldn't treat me like a placeholder, wouldn't say one thing with her mouth and another thing with her eyes. But then I saw it. That moment in the driveway last Friday. The one you didn't think I noticed. Your phone rang. You didn't answer. But you smiled. I stood inside, watching from the kitchen window, and I knew that smile didn't belong to me anymore. It was his name on the screen. I'm sure of it. That half-second flicker of a name you tried to swipe away before it fully lit up. I saw a B, and I saw your face glow. That glow used to be mine, but I haven't seen it since last winter. Not once. And the thing is, I would have understood if you just told me. I mean, not right away. Not easily. But I would have respected you for it. For saying, "Harlan, I'm sorry, but I don't love you anymore." Or even, "I met someone." I could have looked you in the eye and known at least you still had the courage to be honest. But this slow, cowardly, peeling away? This quiet vanishing where you're still here physically, but nothing about you is mine? That's the part that breaks something permanent. I hear you coming in at night. Late. Always late now. The smell of your hair changes. Your shoes are different. Once I asked where you'd been and you said, "Just out." That's it. Just out. Like I don't deserve details anymore. Like I'm not someone you need to explain anything to. Last Sunday, you left your sweater on the kitchen chair. It smelled like cheap cologne. Not mine. Not yours. It smelled like you leaned into someone in a booth. Like you buried your head in someone else's shoulder. And I sat there, holding it, and for the first time in 16 years, I felt like a stranger in my own marriage. I sat in our kitchen, the one we painted together, holding proof in my hands that you now exist in two separate worlds, and I don't belong in either one of them. You know what's funny? I still love you. Isn't that pathetic? After everything, after the silence, after the lies you think I can't see, after the nights I hear you breathing next to me but feel like you're a mile away, I still look at you and see the woman I married. Even though you haven't looked back at me the same way in God knows how long. I'm talking to the photo, by the way. The one on the mantle. That picture from Vermont. The one you forgot existed. You're wearing that wool hat you hated, and I've got that ridiculous scarf you knitted for me the first year we were together. We look like idiots, but happy. You're holding my face in that shot. Remember? You said it made me look younger. I'm older now. I feel it in my bones. But not because of time. Because of you. Because you stopped choosing me and didn't even say it out loud. You could have just said it, Inez. You could have just said it. It wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices, no bags thrown into the street, no tears on the hardwood floor. Harlan simply opened his eyes before the alarm. He stared at the ceiling for a while, longer than usual, listening to the silence. Not the tense kind that had haunted their home lately. This one felt still, clean, like a room had finally been aired out. Inez was still sleeping beside him, her back to him, as always. She murmured something unintelligible and shifted slightly beneath the blanket. He studied the line of her shoulder, the way her hair pulled against the pillow. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel hollow when he looked at her. He just felt calm. He didn't write a letter. He didn't leave a voicemail. He didn't wait for her to leave first. He got up. He showered. He dressed in jeans that still smelled faintly of cedar from the closet. He made himself a full breakfast, not just the toast he usually forced down out of habit. Bacon, eggs, coffee. He even turned on the radio for the first time in months. Jazz. The real kind, the old kind, the kind that swirled like warmth through the kitchen. He left her a note, folded in half and tucked under the edge of her mug. Just a few lines, nothing poetic. Just simple truths. Don't worry. No fights, no speeches. I think we both know it's over. I'm not angry, but I want to be somewhere I can breathe again. Take care of yourself. H. He didn't slam the door when he left. He didn't even close it all the way. He let the morning breeze decide how it would shut. That felt right. The sun was just peeking over the neighbor's roof. A dog barked in the distance. Sprinklers ticked on down the street. The world, as always, kept spinning whether a marriage lived or died. He didn't drive anywhere dramatic. He drove to a small coffee shop on the edge of town, a place they had once gone during better days. The barista recognized him and asked, "Hey, man, you haven't been around in a while." "I had some things to sort out," Harlan said, with a half-smile that didn't feel forced. He sat by the window. No phone, no distractions, just a hot drink and the quiet company of strangers passing outside. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like a joke. He didn't feel small. He didn't feel lost. He felt like someone starting again. Later that week, he took the old tools from the garage and opened a booth at the Sunday market. Clock repairs. He thought no one would come, but they did. Old women with antique mantles. Young couples with broken heirlooms. A man who brought a shattered pocket watch and said, "This thing hasn't ticked since my father passed." Harlan fixed it. He didn't mention Inez to anyone. Not out of bitterness. He just didn't need to. She had been a part of his life, a large one. But now that chapter had ended. Not in fire. Not in cruelty. In quiet understanding. Months later, he received a small envelope with no return address. Inside, a photograph. The two of them, years ago, in the kitchen. He was holding a whisk like a microphone, singing something dumb, and she was laughing so hard her eyes were closed. On the back of the photo, just one line in her handwriting. "I'm sorry I let it break. Thank you for never breaking back." He didn't cry. He smiled. And then he placed the photo in a drawer with other pieces of his past, not forgotten, but finally at peace. Because some stories don't end in flames. Some just quietly let go, so that something new can begin.